In a city that regularly sees over 300 murders a year, what does one have to do to be considered the most twisted killer of all of them? Well, Joe Metheny sure found a way that set himself apart. By most accounts, Joe Metheny grew up a fairly typical lower middle class, blue collar Baltimore life as a child. He did lose his father at a young age, which led to depression issues and ultimately drug and alcohol abuse issues. But as a young man, he was considered by most to be well-spoken, polite, and respectable. At age 18, he joined the U.S. Army, and according to him, served in Vietnam, although it's unclear based on the dates when he served if he actually spent time in combat. Following his time in the U.S. Army, Metheny returned to his blue-collar life in and around South Baltimore. This relatively normal blue-collar life continued throughout the 1970s and into the 1980s. In 1988, he had a son. In the early 1990s, tension began to build between Metheny and his wife, which ultimately would be one of the triggers that sent him down an incredibly sick spiral. After his wife left him and took their son with her, Metheny truly went off the deep end. According to his confession from years later, he would kill his first victim in 1994. He typically preyed on the most vulnerable in society, specifically prostitutes and the homeless. While this is certainly awful, the next part is what sets Joe Metheny apart from just about every other sick, twisted serial killer. While this part of the story has never been proven, it certainly made the rounds on the internet, and it was included in Metheny's own confession. Now I'm going to read a short excerpt from Metheny's confession, and I'm going to warn you, it's fairly twisted. According to Metheny, following when he killed several of his victims, he said, "Over the next couple weeks, on the weekends, I opened up a little open pit beef stand. I had real roast beef and pork sandwiches, and why not? Because they were very good. The human body tastes very similar to pork. If you mix it together, no one can really tell the difference. Everything was going pretty good until I ran out of my special meat. So I lured another bitch up to my trailer." From there, he goes on to detail what he was going to do to this woman, although in this particular instance, she was able to escape. After escaping his trailer, she ran out, jumped the fence, and ran down the street to a nearby gas station where she called the cops. 450-pound Joe Metheny wasn't able to keep up, and the cops showed up at his trailer shortly thereafter. Although he confessed to 7 murders, the actual number is still in debate. Some have put it as high as possibly 13. Although the number has been quoted at possibly as high as 13, he only actually served time for 2 of the murders. He got life in prison and would ultimately die in jail. Well, that's all I've got to say about Joe Metheny now. Just talking about him and reading about him creeps me out, so enough of that. The rest of this video is going to be just drives through South Baltimore neighborhoods, including Westport, Pigtown, and Brooklyn Park.